Hurt his ego and he will love you madly now. Let's clear something up right away. This isn't about playing games, being toxic, or acting like someone you're not. This is about understanding something most people never talk about, how attraction thrives not just on admiration, but on challenge. You see, a man doesn't fall in love with someone who always agrees with him, always praises him, or constantly strokes his ego. That's nice for a while, but it gets boring quickly. Real attraction, it happens when he's intrigued, when he's inspired, when he meets someone who makes him stop and think, someone who pushes back when he's wrong, calls him out when he's lazy, and won't tolerate bare minimum effort. If you want to get into his heart, not just his bed, you've got to be willing to rattle his ego just enough that he realizes, damn, I can't just coast with this woman. And here's the best part, when you challenge a man in the right way, the right man won't run, he'll step up. He'll engage, he'll chase harder, because deep down, what he really wants is someone who makes him become the best version of himself. So no, don't coddle him, don't shrink yourself to make him feel bigger, hurt his ego a little, and if he's got substance, he won't resent you. He'll respect you, and that's the foundation of mad, genuine, long-lasting love. A lot of people confuse validation with love, especially early in dating. When you like someone, it's tempting to show them approval in every way possible, complimenting them constantly, agreeing with their opinions even when you don't fully align, laughing a bit too hard at their jokes, or always being available when they call. It feels like love because it's affectionate and affirming, but what's really happening is you're offering validation, not necessarily connection. And while validation can feel good in the moment, it doesn't create lasting emotional impact. It doesn't challenge a person or draw them into something deeper. It just feeds their ego. Here's the problem. If you constantly validate someone without making them work to understand you, respect you, or truly get to know you, they begin to take that validation for granted. It becomes easy, expected, and what's easy is rarely valued. When a man receives non-stop approval without any pushback, reflection, or emotional tension, he starts to feel emotionally unchecked, like there's no real depth in the interaction. You become someone who makes him feel good, but not someone who leaves a mark. It's not that validation is bad. We all need affirmation sometimes, but when it becomes the only emotional currency in your dynamic, it stops being impactful. Think about the people in your life you truly respect. Do you respect them because they always agree with you? Or because they hold their own, challenge you, and give you the kind of feedback that helps you grow? Love is the same. When a woman gives a man space to feel seen, but also isn't afraid to stand firm in her own truth, she becomes unforgettable. She becomes someone he doesn't just feel good around. He feels moved by her presence. Men, like anyone, are drawn to what activates them emotionally. If your entire connection is built on making him feel amazing 100% of the time, that might feel safe, but it doesn't create desire. Desire needs mystery, it needs polarity, and it needs a little friction. A man falls deeply not for the woman who always builds him up, but for the one who sees his flaws and calls him on them with love. For the woman who knows he's capable of more and isn't afraid to say so. For the woman who gives him the thrill of wondering, does she admire me, or is she still figuring me out? That uncertainty draws him in. So while it may be tempting to lead with constant approval and validation, understand that too much of it can dull your value in his eyes. Not because you're not amazing, but because you're not giving him the full emotional experience of getting to know you. And when he doesn't have to earn your approval in any way, it stops feeling meaningful. Love isn't just about making someone feel good. It's about making someone feel seen, and sometimes that means giving less praise and more truth. Attraction isn't built in comfort. It's built in curiosity, in tension, in the unpredictable energy that keeps someone on their toes. When everything is smooth and agreeable from the start, there's no contrast, no sharp edge that makes someone take a second look and think, there's something different about her. That difference, that challenge, is what separates a casual interest from a magnetic pull. It's the element that makes a man lean in, engage deeper, and invest emotionally. Many people misunderstand what it means to be a challenge. They think it means playing hard to get or pretending not to care. But real challenge isn't about games or being cold. It's about being yourself so fully that you're unshakable. It's knowing your standards and being unwilling to lower them just to keep someone around. It's being honest when you disagree, instead of nodding along to keep the peace. That level of self-respect is incredibly attractive. Why? Because it signals strength, and strength captivates. When a woman isn't immediately impressed, it causes a man to work. He starts to wonder, what is she seeing that I need to show her? That moment when he questions himself is the beginning of deeper attraction, because now she's not just someone who gives him easy admiration. She's someone whose attention means something. He realizes that to win her over, he needs to show up differently. He needs to be better, sharper, more emotionally present. Not because she asked for it directly, but because her presence naturally commands it. Men don't fall in love with women who never question them. They fall in love with the ones who make them think. The ones who ask better questions, who don't laugh at the mediocre joke, who aren't afraid to say, that doesn't impress me. That's not disrespect. That's realness, and realness is rare. When he knows he can't just slide by with charm or surface-level effort, he steps into a different version of himself. He taps into his drive to pursue, to win, to be chosen, and that chase, the good kind, rooted in mutual respect and emotional depth, is what builds lasting desire. Challenge also creates emotional contrast. Without it, everything blends together. The compliments, the conversation, the connection. It all feels flat. But when there's contrast, when she's soft and strong, warm and honest, kind and unapologetically clear, it hits differently. He can't predict her, and unpredictability sparks obsession. It makes him crave more, not because she's distant, but because she's real. He's not just thinking, she likes me. He's thinking, how do I make her see me fully? Being a challenge is not about making someone chase endlessly. It's about inviting them to rise, to meet you on your level. It's about showing them that being with you isn't about winning a prize. It's about building something worthy, something real. And only someone willing to meet that challenge deserves a place in your life. There's a big difference between being admired and being respected. Admiration can be shallow. It's often based on appearance, charm, status, or surface-level qualities. Flattery feeds into that. It's nice, it's pleasant, it can boost someone's mood, but it rarely creates emotional depth. Respect, on the other hand, goes beyond how someone looks or what they say. It's about how someone moves in the world, how they carry themselves, how they respond under pressure, and most importantly, how they handle being challenged. A man might enjoy flattery. It strokes his ego and gives him a temporary high, but it doesn't make him fall. What captures his deeper attention is the person who sees him clearly, holds him accountable, and doesn't hand out approval for free. When a woman respects herself enough to speak her mind, stand her ground, and not bend just to keep him happy, she earns his respect too. And respect creates emotional gravity. It keeps him coming back, not because she makes him feel endlessly praised, but because she makes him feel seen, and still holds him to a higher standard. Flattery is easy, anyone can do it. Compliments are cheap when they're handed out all the time. But when a woman gives a compliment only when it's genuinely felt, and not just to keep the peace or gain favor, it hits harder. It means more. If she says, "That was impressive," he knows she truly means it. because she's not the type to say things just to please him. That makes her voice carry weight. That's when her praise becomes valuable, not because she gives it often, but because it's rare and real. When a man senses that your goal is to keep him constantly comfortable, he may enjoy the feeling, but he won't grow. And without growth, relationships become stagnant. That's why the most powerful connections are built not on excessive affirmation, but on mutual respect. A relationship grounded in truth where both people can call each other higher is far more compelling than one built only on comfort and compliments. A man respects a woman who respects herself. If you're willing to say, "I don't accept that," or "that's not good enough for me," without yelling, without drama, just calmly and clearly, he hears you differently, it lands, because deep down, the right man wants boundaries. He wants to feel like he's earning something valuable, that your love, your time, your energy isn't given to just anyone. It's reserved for someone who matches your values and effort. That makes him feel chosen, not just admired. So while flattery can make someone smile for a moment, respect builds a foundation. It makes him sit up straighter. It makes him want to rise, because now he's not just trying to be liked, he's trying to be worthy. And when a man is in the presence of someone he truly respects, that's when he begins to love deeply, not just enjoy the attention. One of the most common mistakes women make in dating and relationships is shrinking themselves to protect someone else's ego. They soften their opinions, hide their achievements, tone down their confidence, or pretend to be more chill than they really are, all in the hope of being more palatable, more likable, less intimidating. The thinking is, if I don't shine too brightly, maybe he won't feel insecure. Maybe he'll stick around, but here's the truth. Any love that requires you to dim your light isn't love worth keeping. Your strength, your intelligence, your ambition, your standards, they are not flaws, they are not burdens. They are not something to be managed for the sake of a man's comfort. They are the filter that reveals who's truly aligned with you. Because the right man won't be threatened by your brightness, he'll be drawn to it. He'll see your light not as competition, but as inspiration. And if your power makes him pull away, that's not your signal to get smaller. It's your signal that he's not ready for what you bring to the table. You weren't made to fit into someone else's shadow. You were made to take up space, to speak your truth, to walk into a room and be felt. And the more you live in your truth unapologetically, authentically, the more you attract someone who sees you for who you are and says, "That's exactly what I've been looking for." But when you water yourself down to be more digestible, you're no longer being chosen for who you are. You're being chosen for a version of you that isn't real. And pretending to be less is exhausting. Eventually, that mask slips, and you're left wondering if they would have loved the real you at all. There's power in being the kind of woman who knows she doesn't need to compete with anyone else, who doesn't second, guess her worth when she walks into a room, who isn't waiting for validation to feel enough. When you carry yourself like that, the energy shifts. You don't chase, you don't beg, and you don't tolerate being treated like an option, and that level of self-possession, it commands respect. It tells him, without you having to say a word, "I know who I am. If you want to be in my life, come correct." Men aren't looking for someone who makes them feel like the center of the universe 24/7. They're looking for someone they can admire. Someone they can learn from, grow with, and feel proud to stand beside. And that kind of connection only comes when you show up fully voice, vision, values, and all. So don't apologize for your success. Don't mute your opinions. Don't pretend you're not as powerful as you are. Because your light isn't the problem. The problem is anyone who thinks you need to hide it. When you set a higher standard in love, not just in words, but in how you carry yourself, it quickly becomes clear who's ready for something real and who's just looking for convenience. Some men get uncomfortable when faced with a woman who knows what she wants, speaks up for herself, and won't settle for less. But that discomfort isn't a sign that you're too much. It's a sign that they're not ready to grow. And the truth is, the right man won't shrink in the face of your strength, he'll rise to meet it. A lot of people confuse love with ease. They think if it's meant to be, it'll be effortless. But real love, the kind that lasts, the kind that transforms you, asks you to level up. And not just once, but continuously. It asks both people to reflect, to improve, and to stretch beyond their comfort zones. So when you hold yourself to a high standard, you're not just protecting your worth. You're inviting your partner to rise as well. Not through force or pressure, but by the natural power of your presence. The right man doesn't get defensive when you express a boundary. He listens and he reflects. He doesn't see your expectations as a burden. He sees them as a chance to show you who he is. And when you challenge him, not in a combative way, but from a place of truth and honesty, he doesn't pull away or shut down. He leans in. He takes it seriously, because he knows that your challenge isn't rejection, it's respect. It's you believing he can be more. This kind of man doesn't want to coast through a relationship on charm and routine. He wants a partner who wakes him up emotionally, someone who brings out the best in him, not by fixing him, but by expecting the best from him. And when he sees that you're not impressed by surface-level effort, that you require depth, consistency, and emotional maturity, he doesn't resent you for it. He respects you because deep down, the right man wants to rise. He wants to feel like the relationship he's in demands something real from him, not just performance, but presence. Too often, women lower their expectations to keep the peace or avoid scaring someone off. But what if that fear of scaring him off is exactly what keeps you from meeting the man who would run toward your standards, not away from them? You can't build something powerful by making yourself small, and you won't inspire a man to grow by accepting the bare minimum. But when you own your worth and make it clear through your actions, not just your words, that you won't settle, something incredible happens. The wrong ones fall away and the right one steps up. Not every man will rise, and that's okay. You don't need many to, just one. One who sees your strength not as a challenge to control, but as a mirror reflecting his own potential back to him. That's the man who will love you madly, not because he had to chase you, but because becoming worthy of your love made him better. Thank you.